Alrighty. Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, everyone. Tonight, let's see here. The title for tonight's teaching is Overcome and Rest. A few of the verses that we're going to touch on is Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, and Hebrews chapter 4, verses 9 through 11. And the date is March the 24th, 2022. Now we got many verses to cover. And I think we're actually going to do it. So we'll see. Oh, look at that. You're early tonight. I hit the go live button right at 7 o'clock. I think your clock is off a little bit, D. That's what I'm going with. So, hello, D. Hello, Colleen. Dorothy. Renee. I'm blessed and encouraged that all of you ladies are there watching. Hey, Rossi, man. Blessings, sir. I'm doing well. I hope you are as well. I imagine Bob will be tuning in, and Dave, and we'll just see who else. So tonight, Mr. Whitford might make his appearance as well, so we'll see about that. Hello to all of you. Thank you for the encouragement. Tonight's topic, overcome and rest. Where we're going to start is we're going to go into the Old Testament. And we're going to start in Psalm. Oh, look at that. There's Bob. We're going to start in Psalm chapter 23. Now, when you hear this, I want you to look at your life. Think about your personal, specific life, your surroundings, and think about how much Psalm 23 is proving out to be true in your life. How much does your life, how much do you see your life in Psalm 23? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So now with this, hopefully you go, yes, my life is a reflection of that. I'm going to throw in there and say, you would like it if your life was like that. It sure would be nice if your life was always like that. Your life is like that in bits and pieces. Small little snippets of life resemble that. He tells us that this is how our life can be like. He says that this is how he has created life for us. I shall not want. And it doesn't mean that I don't want. But when it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, it isn't this, oh, well, then I feel bad for striving for a better job, a better vehicle, better friends, a nicer place to live, a nicer looking bank account, a nicer looking retirement. That's not what this I shall not want. It doesn't mean that you can't strive for those things, desire those things, go after those things. This I shall not want is being perfectly happy with where you are and perfectly happy, fine, content, okay if and when you move into better circumstances. And there's a lot that we can go with this. I fear no evil. I would suspect that, let's see, every one of us, yeah, I'm pretty sure, has had some fear of some sort of evil at some point. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That's so cool. Because it announces the fact that just because you're going to have peace in your life and you're going to have God in your life, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have enemies. It just means that He's the one that is going to set a table for you in front of them. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life. And this isn't a trailing where they're out of reach and you're running too fast or your life is going and they're trying to catch up to you. This goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life is goodness and loving kindness are aspects of your life. One in the group this week had commented, it's kind of like, was it Pigpen in the Peanuts? He was the one that he always had a dust cloud, always dirty. So he had a trail. Something like that. It says, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, a really cool thing is back in the day, if you ever invited me into your home, yes, we can be, if possible, be at peace with all men. That's right. But we're probably going to have enemies. That's just the way it is, because some people, you know what? Some people, a lot of people, don't really like what I teach. it's probably not too surprising to most of you. It's certainly not surprising to me. But back in the day, if you invited me to your home for a meal, once I was in your home, then it was your responsibility to defend me from my enemies. Let's see, Rossi says, I believe goodness and mercy are two angels. Okay. I could get behind that. So now if I'm at your home, now it's your responsibility to defend me from any enemies that would come knocking to do me harm. And here at the end of Psalm 23 it says, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's a good spot to dwell. I'm just saying, yes, I do. All right. Okay. So if we keep thinking on this, overcome and rest. So Psalm 23 is a good picture of how life really is. And if it's not, that's a place where we can line up our life with that, because that's what he has for us. Now, if we were to turn, still in the Old Testament, to Numbers chapter 13, there's a lot of verses that I have down here. I'm not going to read them all because there's a big chunk. I'll kind of summarize what we've got. So chapter 13, verses 25 through 33. And what this is that this is finally, they got all the people out of Egypt, and they went around the mountain, and God's like, see that land right over there? That's the promised land. That's where I want you to go. Take a man from each tribe and have them go spy out the land. So they did that. They're finding just fantastic things. I did not go back and read the whole stuff to be able to see, but from what I can remember, they're finding fruit there. So like a bushel, a collection of grapes that was so big, instead of carrying it, they threw it over a pole in between two guys that had the pole on their shoulders, kind of a deal. They were carrying the fruit like that, like you would if you were to have got like a wild boar or something. You know, you hang it, and that was the fruit that was coming from this land. The spies come back. And in verse 27 it says, before we head there, Rossi comments about the fact that he loves it. The part when he leads my soul beside still waters, because sheep don't drink from moving water. It has to be still, because they're pretty skittish. And so yeah, that is a good point. So in Numbers 13, verse 27, thus they told him and said, we went into the land where you sent us, and it clearly does flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. And so it's like everything that God said about this land, spot on, all good. Verse 28, nevertheless. You might as well change that word and say but, because we know what that means. It just disqualified everything that you just said. But nevertheless, verse 28, the people who live in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there, or however you would say that. So, Goliath, right? You think about how tall you are, and these people are twice as tall as you. And maybe 3 times as heavy as you. Just big. Nothing short of that big. And then there's all these other tribes that have land that are around this land. And they're warriors and they're bad dudes and they're mean women and they're just, woo. So this is the report. They're like, yep, it flows with milk and honey. And there's enough substance there to cover all of us. It is what God says it is. But the problem, the people that are there, the fortified cities, ugh. Okay. Now verse 30. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, we should by all means go up and take possession of it, for we will surely overcome it. Now, I would like each one of us to ask ourselves this question. Are we living our life like Caleb? So Caleb was one of the spies that went and checked this thing out. He knows firsthand. He's seen it with his eyes. He's like, oh man, them be some big dudes there. But he said, I'm not going to let my eyes override what God has told us. So, are you living like Caleb here in verse 30? Rossi says he had no fear. I say, all right, I can get behind that. But I think it's even different than having no fear because he didn't let his eyes change what God had said. So we could go with Caleb had no fear. So he's this fierce warrior that he's just like, bring it on. I'm killing everybody in my wake. No, we won't do that. You know, I've got this. It's all mine. No, instead, I see he's living in Psalm 23. Like you said, he had no fear. Well, Psalm 23 says, I fear no evil. Why? For you, God, are with me. So God's rod and staff, they comfort me. I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So, why would we not go? So how much do we live our life? That's right. Rossi said Caleb stayed focused on the promises of God. That's right. And which is a battle. You want to fight a battle? That's the battle to fight. Staying at rest, staying focused on what God has said. Not letting your eyes or your ears, so what you see, what you hear, the experiences that you have in life, not letting that dictate how you react to life. but instead letting what God says dictate how you live life. It's so powerful. Because here's what happens. So that was verse 30. By all means, we need to go up and take possession of it. For we will surely overcome it. So that's the first half of the title. Overcome. Surely we will overcome it. So when you can have that as part of, I don't know, mantra is the word that's coming to mind. But, I don't know. When you can have that in your life, well, surely I will surely overcome it. Because that's what Caleb is saying. He's seen what's going on. He knows that if it was just based on what the world, what his eyes are seeing, what his experience has told him, what his ear has heard, he knows they have like a 0% chance that that's going to be a smart, good idea to go into that land. And yet he's like, by all means, let's do this. And not because he has a death wish, but because he knows we will overcome it. So please have that. And hopefully that will become part of your life. You just know this is just the way that it is. I will overcome this. Because here's what happens when you do not have that mindset. See, that was 30, verse 31. So we're Numbers chapter 13, verse 31. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are too strong. So they gave out to the sons of Israel a bad report of the land, which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone in spying it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. And all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. Verse 33. There also we saw the Nephilim, I don't know, whatever it is. The sons of Anak are a part of the Nephilim. So there also we saw the giants. Now the second part of verse 33 just blows my mind. Hear it. Listen to what it says and see how much it applies to life. It says, and we became like grasshoppers in our own sight. And so we were in their sight. When we seen what we were up against, right here, between my two hands, I have already decided that I'm going to fail. And thus, the thing that I'm up against recognizes and treats me that way. We became like grasshoppers in our own sight. And so we were in their sight. When I come into a situation and in my mind, I already go, I'm out of luck on this one. I have lost before I've even started. I know this is not going to end well. Whatever it is, right? You know, you could have a whole big old list. When we become that in our own sight, when that's what we see who we are, that's who whoever else sees who we are. I'm going to say for the most part, that other person did not make up and decide how they see you. You decided. Right here. How they see you. Because then what happens is you act accordingly. And the way that you act towards them, they then receive how you are in your own mind. And that's not like Caleb. Just another thing, it's just crazy cool. We became like grasshoppers in our own sight. And so, we were in their sight. There's no overcome going on there. Come on, man. Yes. There's no, I mean, when you think like that, there is no way you're overcoming something. It's just not you. How can you get past something when you're like, yeah, no, that is, no, not, no. Instead, because what God tells us, surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life. I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You go, well, yeah, Todd, that's why you need to keep your nose clean. Because if you don't, you're going to get kicked out of the house. And then all your protection is going to be wrong. Then you're really going to get the stuffing beat out of you. Unfortunately, that's how some people think. And that's how some people are taught. And it is crazy to me. Because that's not the deal. Because because your effort was not the thing that got you into the house in the first place. And how God interacts with us is not by control and manipulation. Okay, let's move along because we've touched on overcome. We overcome because we believe what God said is for us. And there's other places we'll talk about overcome as well. But let's move on to rest. In Matthew, one of the verses I put on here, Matthew 11:28 through 30. In your Bible, it's probably in red. Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Come on, Stephen. Glad that you joined, man. Verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So we've touched on overcome, and now these couple verses here are speaking, these few verses are speaking about, there's three there. They're speaking about rest. Jesus says, hey, come this way. Come here. No, come a little closer. Come on. I will give you rest. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Now, this isn't a come to me and I'll put you to work. Because if you think about this from the big wooden yoke that you would yoke up a couple of, let's say, a pair of oxen. Well, you have one trained one seasoned one that knows what's what. And then you take a younger one that thinks they know it all, but doesn't really have a clue. One that needs to be put with one who has the experience. Now you yoke them together. And the little one can try to go wherever he wants. But the big one, the mature one, the seasoned one, knows this is the way we're going. This is what we're doing. This is the speed we're taking. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Now, if you have a pastor, a friend, a whatever that says, come on, let's, yoke up. I already know the way. Jesus says, I am gentle and humble in heart. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And his burden isn't light because he shifted it onto you. His burden is light because there isn't 613 different things that you have to follow. His burden is light because our position is to believe that he knows what he's doing. So now we overcome because we have faith in what God says. And we get to rest because now we've been united with Christ. Now our life is hid in his. And the life that you now live, you don't live for yourself, but you live it through him. Now, when we're presented in life with these giants, like it was in Numbers, fortified cities, onlookers that are hostile towards us. Now, we still get to stay in a life that is Psalm 23. Because we're yoked with Christ. There's our rest, because he tells us, I will give you rest. So when you're feeling like you need rest, you might want to check out your life, and it doesn't mean that you're too busy and that you need to stop being busy. That's not what rest means. If you're concerned, you don't want to have this rest until after you die, because rest is equal to being lazy. And lazy people get trampled on, and they're horrible for society, and it's just it's just bad and negative and blah 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 blah. Now just knock it off. Because this rest that he gives us isn't tied to how busy you are, how much activity you do. You hold down 4 jobs, raising 6 kids, all by yourself. Okay. You can still have rest. Because this rest is found in this peace that comes upon you once you actually accept the fact that you're yoked with him. Okay. Hopefully you guys are still with me on this. Because, yeah. All right. Let's go to Hebrews now. Hebrews chapter 4, verses 9 through 11. Before I do that, most everybody knows God creates the world. It takes him 6 days to put everything in place. And then on the 7th day, he rests from all of his works. Whether that is Saturday, more than likely, but it doesn't matter. It matters to you. It matters to me. I get it. I'm sorry. If it's Sunday, if it's Wednesday, if it's Thursday, those are things that distract us from rest in him. Hopefully we can agree that for a period of time, God worked. God did things. He spoke and things were created. And then after that was done, he stopped his works. And he did not pick up a new job. He did not. So 6 days he worked, the 7th day he rested, and on day 8 or day 37 or whatever, he did not start back working again. Unless you consider herding cats as work. Just saying. Yes, that was a reference to us people, but we won't go there. So, God works for a period of time, stops. That next day, he rested from all his works. a Sabbath's day rest. Okay, now let's read Hebrews chapter 4, verses 9 through 11. So there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For the one who has entered his rest has himself also rested from his works, as God did from his. Okay, verse 11. Therefore, because of what we just talked about, now it set what we just talked about sets us up for this next. It says, therefore, let us be diligent to enter that rest, so that no one will fall through following the same example of disobedience. The title again, Overcome and Rest. We talked a little bit about overcome. Caleb, well, we will surely overcome. He has that mantra, apparently is the right word, because that just keeps coming up, and I'm not sure, because I'm not exactly sure that that's the right word, but it just keeps coming up, so maybe that's right for somebody that's watching this or will be watching it. So we have this overcome and rest. Hebrews says, let us be diligent to enter that rest. Which that rest? Which one is that one? Which one is it? Well, it says, for the one who has entered his rest has himself also rested from his works, as God did from his. God did stuff happened, and he rested, and it didn't mean that things stopped. It didn't mean that God stopped. He's still living life. We as humans, not me and you, hopefully, but we as humans, we worked. If you were a Jew, you worked in the attempt to get into the house of the Lord. You did this, you didn't do that, and if you did do what you weren't supposed to do, then you brought a sacrifice to try to make amends for it, even though once it's done, you can't undo it. It's kind of like squeezing out a tube of toothpaste. Once you do that, you really can't get it back in the tube all that easy. So it's kind of done. So we worked as people in an attempt to please God, to do right in God's sight, to do as little wrong as we could, and to punish those people that did do wrong, to show others that they better not do wrong, and if they do wrong, that they better not get caught doing wrong. I know that's not part of it, but that's part of life. He said, now we've rested from that, because now it's not a do good, get good, do bad, get bad life. It is a Psalm 23 life. It is a Numbers 13:30 with Caleb saying, by all means we should take possession of it, for surely we will overcome it, because that's what God said. So it has to be true. Matthew 11, Jesus says, I will give you rest. Did he lie? No, Todd, that rest that he's talking about is after you die. How screwed up of a rest would that be? You won't get punished for the things that you did wrong after you get punished for the things that you did wrong. Then God won't punish you for those things. What? Yes, Jesus took the punishment, the condemnation, everything for the sin of the world. Yep, he did that. And so you also need to take it for yourself, because what he did was enough, but what you did was wrong, so you still need to be punished for it, because that has to be. Because I was talking with a pastor once, and some stuff had went down, and him and I were talking, and I disagreed with the response, and what they had said to me was, well, I don't know what you were expecting to see, to see as a response. And I said, well, I was expecting Jesus. I was expecting in this situation that since we're ambassadors for Christ, that what Jesus did was enough. That's what I would expect would happen in an ugly situation. And their response to me was, well, no. Because the thing that happened was wrong. Now, sadly, everybody understands, everybody has seen, been a witness of, been part of, either end, that same example. And I mean, not showing somebody Jesus, when that's exactly who they need. And that's exactly what he died for. And so now you know what gets to happen. They get to stand before the king. The Father himself. And they get to explain why the actions of Christ were not enough. Good luck with that. We get to enter his rest. And why is that important? There's two words in Hebrews 4 that tell us why it's so important. Let us go back there. Verse 11 says, therefore, let us be diligent to enter that rest, so that. There's the two words, so that. It says we need to be diligent to do this, and not to save our own hide, not to make us look good, not to be able to push aside the sin, bury our head in the sand, let people go all willy-nilly, all crazy. That's not why we enter, that we are to be diligent to enter that rest. But it says, Why do we do that? So that no one will fall. You get to enter that rest. You enter that rest so that I don't fall. And why would that be? Through following the same example of disobedience. And this disobedience is following the law because you're disobedient with it because you're lawbreakers because you can't do it. Again, James 2. If you break the least, if you fall short in the smallest, you become guilty. What's a willy-nilly? You become guilty of breaking them all. So you are disobedient. You enter his rest. You enter the rest because God did from his. So now we rest. We enter from our works. We have rested from our works. Why? So that no one will fall. Well, how is that even possible? Because now, if you have entered his rest, now you are no longer living your life based on works. Now when you encounter me, you are no longer looking at me from a performance-based life. How can I fall if there isn't a performance for me to be judged against? Can't. You be diligent to enter that rest. Because again, it doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you quit your job and you live off of my tax money. Doesn't mean that. Might that be a part of your life right now? Absolutely. There isn't anything with that. It's that's not what this is talking about, because this rest is this peace that in whatever that you're doing, that Jesus has already overcome, and that he brings rest for us. And we enter that rest. We are diligent to enter that rest so that no one will fall. Because they will fall, you will fall, I will fall when we follow the same example of disobedience. When you come into my life and you go, yep, Todd, absolutely, Jesus did everything. In addition to that, our lives need to reflect and honor and glorify what he did for us. And when you do those bad things, it doesn't do that. So you need to make sure that you do these things and don't do these things. Well, all that did was put lipstick on a pig. All that you did was you took your pearls and put them around the pig's neck. You know what? Let's have some bacon instead. Stop dressing the thing up. Let's just eat it and be done with it. Anyway. So that you and I enter that rest, just as God did from his, we rest from our works so that no one will fall. All right, there's so much more. let's hit a couple of highlights, shall we? Because hopefully we've got overcome, and we'll hit some more right directly with overcome. And hopefully we're starting to understand this rest. Are we going to do Luke? Are we going to read Luke? All right, we're going to do it. Luke 11, 21 and 22. It says, when a strong man... All right. The book of Luke, chapter 11, verses 21 and 22. I don't do bacon. That's okay, Rossi. I'll eat your share. It'll be okay. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his own house, his possessions are undisturbed. But when someone stronger than he attacks him and overpowers him, he takes away from him all his armor on which he had relied and distributes his plunder. Now, for the longest time, these verses didn't make any sense to me. I kind of got it, but I didn't really, you could apply it. You could say, well, I'm the strong man, and my house is my body and my mind and my feelings and my emotions, and that feeling joy and happiness and peace and all that. And so then I have this, and when I'm fully armed, because I've got all the armor of God to put on. Don't do that. I'm just saying. Just don't. Because understand that the armor of God, when you look at it, understand that each one of those pieces describes Jesus. But we're not going to go there. So it would say, when a strong man, so that's me, I'm fully armed, I guard my own house, my possessions are undisturbed. But when somebody stronger comes and attacks me, well, then I've just lost it. So then that's letting sin into my life, and it's like, no, I can see where that could fit, but I'm going to whine a little bit on that one and go, no. If we look at strong man as Satan in verse 21, and then in 22, but when someone stronger than he attacks him. Yeah, let's do a barbecue. Hey, Jesse, I can pull up that picture of the that pig roast where that pig caught on fire and prayed him down. Let's see. That one looks not. See, now you guys got me all kind of going on this. This teaching is going to be 4 hours long. Whether he likes it or not. Willy-nilly. Without direction or planning, haphazardly. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate the assist in helping Rossi understand willy-nilly. So, all right. So if we take Luke 11:21 and say, when it says, when a strong man, we think when Satan. And then in verse 22, when someone stronger than he attacks him, let's think of the one stronger as Jesus. Because if we think of this as us and sin and Satan and the demonic and all the other as somebody stronger than us, well, there's no peace there. There's no overcome there. If I'm the one that I'm fully armed, if I'm the one that has to guard my house, all of my stuff inside my house is safe as long as I'm on guard. Well, there's no rest there. There's no peace there. But when I see this as Satan, because Satan was given the dominion of the earth, right? He was the Lord of the earth. And all of the people were locked in under sin. But then Jesus came. One who was stronger came. And overpowered him. In the Greek, how they translated overpowers, they also, that same Greek word, more times than not, is translated overcome. Overcomes him. And then Jesus takes away from him all of his armor on which he had relied. So when Jesus came, he took away all of the power of sin on which Satan relies to keep us people as slaves. And instead, then, Jesus is able to distribute his plunder, take the people out from bondage. He takes them from darkness and brings them into light. This is how I put it, and then we'll move on. So this is my translation of Luke 11:21 and 22. When Satan, fully armed with the power of sin, lords over the earth, and the people are slaves. But when Jesus, who is stronger, confronts him and overcomes him, Jesus takes away all the power of sin which Satan relied on. Then Jesus receives the people. That's my understanding on those two verses. All right, let's hit these other ones kind of quickly, and we'll go from there. Again, overcome and rest. John 16:33 says, "These things I have spoken to you, so that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world." Which you can take that and refer back to Luke, which we just covered. And this is how I've heard this described is, well, Jesus is talking about after you die. How messed up would that be? He says, in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take courage, I've overcome the world. So you get to stay in the world and have tribulation, but neener, 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 I've overcome the world. Really sucks to be you, don't it? If you were in me, you'd have peace. But instead you're in the world. You're going to have tribulation. He's talking about the two different people. It's if you're in Christ, you have peace. If you're not, you will have tribulation. I get to take courage. I get to remain in peace. You get to have courage. You get to remain at peace. Even when tribulation comes, or how you would define tribulation when you were outside of Christ. When that stuff comes, you get to remain at peace because Christ has overcome the world. There is not a stronger man that's going to come in to break into his house to rob us of our Psalm 23 life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life. I fear no evil, for you are with me. You restore my soul. You guide me in the paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Let's move on. 1 John. I tell you, if you're going to read one book in the Bible, my recommendation is reading 1 John with bringing nothing of your understanding of how the world does stuff and how you've been taught how God does stuff. Don't bring definitions like that into reading 1 John, and just read it for what it says. Take it for what the whole book of 1 John, which is what, probably 3 pages. Just saying. All right, so 1 John 4:4 says, come on, you are from God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And we don't get hung up on the fact that he calls us little kids, because this is this endearing, this loving, this cherishing, this, I describe it as if I were talking with my grandkids. This so far beyond comprehension of unconditional love that it's just, you just can't describe it. It just, he said, you are from God, little children. So it's not a put down, it's an endearing thing. And have overcome them. And the them that he's talking about here is those people that want to disturb you in the goodness of the things of God. Come on, right? Because why would you? Because you've overcome them. Why? Well, what did I do? Well, no, you didn't do anything. It says because you've overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. So you're not even, it's not even that it's greater, the person who is in you is greater than the person who you've come up against. No, the person who is in you is greater than the person who is in the world. Again, refer back to Luke. Come on, Jesus. Okay, now 1 John 5, 1 through 5. This is interesting. It says, whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and whoever loves the Father loves the child born of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and observe his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. For whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world: our faith. Who is the one who overcomes the world? But he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. So just want to hit real quick, if I were to take a poll and ask what commandments are we having to follow? Because when we observe his commandments, we keep his commandments are not burdensome. Is that all 613? No, Todd, don't be silly. It's only 10. It's only the big 10. The ones that were wrote in stone. Only those. No, Todd, come on. Jesus left us with 2 commandments. Love God and love your neighbor. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. All right, by a show of hands, how many people have been able to fulfill either one of those? Yep, that's right. No hands. Stephen Roach chimes in and says, love. You know what? It's hard for me to say no to an answer of that's the commandment that he's talking about. How about we go to a verse in 1 John that tells us what commandments he's talking about. If you will, please. Let us go to 1 John chapter 3, verse 23. It says, this is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, just as he commands us. Now, one thing to point out, other than Stephen was correct, is that it says that we are to believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ. And what this means is everything that is connected to him. All the thoughts, all the feelings, all the actions, all the emotions, all of the words that were spoken, all of the deeds that were done, everything that is connected, everything that comes to mind, everything that is true, that's what we are to believe in. That is the commandment we are to follow. And from that commandment, the next one is possible. And love one another, just as he commanded us. Because I'm telling you, you're not loving me until first you get a grip on believing who Jesus is and what he's done. The name above all names. See, come on. That takes on even a better understanding. Okay. That speaks to overcome. And we talked about rest. Let's start to land this one. Let's go into the book of Revelation and speak about overcome. We're going to look at Revelation 2. The Alpha and Omega. All right, so Revelation 2, verse 7 says, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. And a little side note there. Why were Adam and Eve kicked out of the Garden of Eden? It wasn't because they disobeyed God. Go back and read it, because you're not going to believe me. God said, we got to get these people out of here, because if not, they may very well eat from the tree of life and stay like this forever. And I don't want that for them. So let's have them leave so that they aren't able to eat from the tree of life. And here in Revelation 2, verse 7, it says, to him who overcomes, And we've already talked about it's you and I are the one who have overcome. I will grant. So Jesus, God will grant for us to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Revelation 2 verse 11 says, he who overcomes will not be hurt by the second death. I think that's a nice bonus. There's so many here, but I want to make sure that we get on this one here. Revelation 2:17. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, to him I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and a new name written on the stone, which no one knows but he who receives it. I'd like to share with you what this white stone is. I think every one of us should carry a white stone around in our pockets, in our car, in the bathroom sink, by the chair that we sit in all the time, maybe on our phone. The picture that comes up on the phone, maybe that should be a white stone. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one for you. And you. And you. And you. Yep. All right. Here is what, back in this day, this white stone, what this represents. What would happen is when you were brought before the courts, and it was an acquittal of the one being tried. I'll say it a different way. The person who has a white stone is found not guilty. The person who has a white stone is judged innocent. The person who has the white stone is free from condemnation. What would happen is I would go into the courts, and when I was acquitted of all the charges, when not the fact that they convicted me, but I didn't have I didn't serve any time. That's not what this is talking about. It's not you're guilty, but your punishment has already been time served. Nope. This is, I have been found innocent of the charges. I get a white stone that I put at my house, in front of my house. And then when you come walking by, you see the white stone, you understand that now you no longer have any basis to judge me wrongly. Now you know I've been acquitted of all charges, that I've been found not guilty. That's the significance of, and I, God, will give him, meaning you and I, a white stone. And a new name written on the stone, which no one knows but he who receives it. Now, we're not going to get into that time-wise, but we'll just go with the name wrote on it will be different because the world gives you a name based on what their eye sees and their ear hears and their experience tells them. That's your name to the world. God gives you a white stone and says, you are free from condemnation. I judge you innocent. Who would be so foolish as to tell me I'm wrong. We could all start a list, and hopefully our names are not on that list, that would say, God, you missed this about this person. This person is guilty. God says, here's your white stone. I pronounce not guilty. I declare to you free from condemnation. Now if anybody accuses you, now when anybody brings guilt, shame, and condemnation, because you're in my household, I am the one who will defend you. Just saying. White stone. All right, Revelation 2:26. He who overcomes and he who keeps my deeds until the end, to him I will give authority over the nations. All these rest of these are Revelation. So 3:5 says, he who overcomes will thus be clothed in white garments. And I will not erase his name from the book of life. And I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. 3:12 says, he who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will not go out from it anymore. And I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. Just big stuff, that's all. 3:21 says, he who overcomes, I will grant to him to sit down with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. Revelation 12 verses 10 and 11. I know some of you guys were expecting this one, that's why I threw it in here. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren has been, past tense, has been thrown down. He who accuses them before our God day and night. Before I read verse 11, doesn't that kind of sound like what I was talking about? Luke chapter 11? Okay, verse 11. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their testimony. And they did not love their life even when faced with death. We're going to hit this. I get it. We're just going to, I got one more verse. Revelation 21, verse 7. I think this is a fitting one to end with. It says, he who overcomes will inherit these things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. When you inherit something, you don't have any effort for it. Your name's on a list that says, when this happens, this person gets this. That's how much effort and work you do to inherit something. It's a free gift. Overcome and rest. Now, Psalms 23, one more time. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Thank you for that encouragement, Renee, and for all of you. I thank you for all of you that take the time out of your life to watch this, listen to this. Thank you, Stephen. What an encouragement that you are to me. Each one of you are. It is a huge encouragement when you watch this, when you share this. Come on, thanks, Dee. When you just add the comments, when you do the reactions, all of that stuff is a huge encouragement for me. Because what you should take from this is a greater, deeper, better relationship. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. Between you and God and you. This is to help you to understand. Thanks, Rossi. Willy-nilly. This whole thing, the last 4+ years, almost 4.5 now, wow. This whole time is getting us to really grab a hold of that Jesus is enough. That what God did is enough. What God says is enough. I believe that more than what my eye sees or my ear hears or my experience has shown me. All three of those are really challenging. But hopefully each one of these teachings helps us to dismantle that and to go, God said it, it's a good thing for me. It must be so that we have this confidence, not an arrogance. Caleb in Numbers 13 was not arrogant. He was confident in what God said has to materialize. It has to. That's the confidence we are to walk in. We overcome because God says so. We get to have rest because God says so. And it doesn't mean that we're just a bulldozer or a bull in the china shop and that we're lazy. It means that we live life, and we live life in such a way that it draws people to Him. Because they see your life and they go, I want some of that. What is it? What is it going to cost me? How do I get it? And you go, here it is. First, understand that the punishment for your sins, the condemnation, the guilt, the shame, for the things that you've done in life has been paid for. Now you get to walk in freedom. And this freedom is to interact with other people and yourself with love. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians 13 so then I can describe to you what this love looks like. Love is patient, love is kind. Love does not boast. Love is not arrogant. Love does not take into account a wrong suffered. This is the love that we get to walk in now. We get to go from this performance-based life into this love for life and of life, because God is love. So hopefully this has been an encouragement to you. Hopefully you can take this teaching and apply it to your life and walk understanding that you have overcome life. And now you get to rest in life. Come on. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I'll be here next week as well. And I have started posting these on YouTube. I have not figured out yet. I'm close, but I have not done everything that I need to do to be able to broadcast on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And so after I get done with this one, then I upload it into the Facebook one, or into the YouTube one. So that channel is Unshakable Foundation. So you'll see the mountain scenery, but that is a channel that has a few of these teachings on it. So with that, I will say thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.